It happens at exactly 3:47 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Every satellite in orbit around Earth, regardless of function or ownership, simultaneously stops transmitting any signals, not damaged by debris, not destroyed by some space-based weapon, not even malfunctioning in traditional ways, just silent. Communication satellites, GPS satellites, weather monitoring satellites, military reconnaissance satellites, scientific research instruments, surveillance systems, all of them, completely and utterly silent. The first people to notice this catastrophic failure are air traffic controllers on the night shift. Commercial aircraft navigate primarily using GPS coordinates. When the signal vanishes without warning, pilots must immediately revert to older ground-based navigation systems that haven't been primary navigation methods for nearly 20 years, systems that many younger pilots barely remember from their initial training. Across the Atlantic Ocean, over the Pacific, planes transiting between continents suddenly lose their precise positioning capability. They know roughly where they are. Roughly isn't remotely good enough when you're at 35,000 feet with hundreds of other aircraft nearby. Within 15 minutes, every flight globally receives grounding orders. Not already airborne flights. Those continue to designated airports using whatever navigation remains available. It works. Mostly, there are 3 near-miss incidents over the Atlantic. One extremely close call over Asia. Pilots' voices on radio frequencies remain professionally calm, but underneath, there's unmistakable tension. They're essentially flying partially blind, and they know it. The financial markets open in Asia completely unaware that anything is wrong. Tokyo, Hong Kong, Shanghai, trading happens normally for approximately 90 minutes. Then someone notices that international financial transactions aren't processing correctly. Timestamps are wrong. Satellites provide the ultra-precise atomic clock timing that synchronizes global financial systems. Without those signals, transactions get confused. Which order was placed first? Whose trade actually executed when? Within 2 hours, Asian markets halt all trading, not crash dramatically, just pause in complete confusion. The American military establishment wakes up to an absolute strategic nightmare. GPS-guided missiles are completely useless. Drone operations over Middle East conflict zones go offline immediately. Secure satellite communications vanish entirely. The most technologically advanced military force in human history is suddenly operating partially blind. Commanders scramble to revert to Cold War-era protocols. Radio communications, physical couriers, paper documents. It's functional enough. It's slow. It's vulnerable in ways that make everyone uncomfortable. By 6 a.m. Eastern Time, the president receives a full briefing. The question dominating everyone's mind is obvious. Is this an attack? China? Russia? Some unknown hostile actor? The intelligence community honestly doesn't know. There's no debris field, no jamming signal signature. The satellites remain physically intact in their orbits. They're just not transmitting anything. It's completely unprecedented. It's terrifying. Television news networks become the first visible public casualty. Live broadcasts from remote international locations stop immediately. No satellite uplinks means no remote coverage. Cable news networks can still broadcast from their studios, but field reporting is essentially dead. The 24-hour news cycle, which depends entirely on instant global communication, suddenly operates at 1990s speed. Reporters are reduced to making phone calls, sending emails, hoping internet infrastructure stays operational. It does. Mostly, internet backbone systems don't depend on satellites, but connectivity to remote areas dies completely. Alaska, rural Africa, Pacific Islands, anywhere that relied exclusively on satellite internet is cut off from the world. Weather forecasting collapses as a reliable science. Meteorologists stare at blank screens where detailed satellite imagery should be displaying. It's hurricane season. It's tornado season. They can still see approaching storms using ground-based radar networks. But the big picture, the global weather patterns, completely gone. A major hurricane could be forming over the Atlantic Ocean, and forecasters wouldn't see it until it's dangerously close to land. The National Weather Service issues an unprecedented statement. Weather forecasts will be extremely limited and significantly less accurate until further notice. GPS navigation dies globally and immediately. Your smartphone's map application still functions if you're in a city with good cellular coverage, but highway travel becomes genuinely challenging. Commercial truckers who navigate exclusively with GPS suddenly need physical paper maps. Maps they don't have, maps that aren't even printed anymore. Delivery companies struggle dramatically. Amazon Prime's famous 2-day shipping promise becomes completely meaningless when drivers literally don't know how to find addresses without GPS guidance. The cascading military implications intensify rapidly. Naval vessels communicate using satellite systems. When those fail, ships revert to traditional radio communication. The fundamental problem? Radio is trivially easy to intercept, easy to jam. Classified military communications are suddenly going over channels that adversaries can monitor. Every military movement becomes potentially visible to hostile intelligence. Operational security is fundamentally compromised. By day 2, cascading failures throughout civilian infrastructure become apparent. ATMs in remote rural areas stop functioning. They depend on satellite communication to verify transactions with central banking systems. Banks attempt various workarounds, but everything is slower. Financial transactions that took seconds now require hours. Global commerce, which operates on precision just-in-time delivery guided by satellite tracking systems, starts breaking down systematically. Container ships lose automated navigation. Ports don't know which cargo is arriving when. The global supply chain isn't broken yet, but it's fracturing. Emergency services in rural areas face crippling limitations. 911 emergency calls can't be traced accurately without GPS. Ambulances get lost trying to reach remote addresses. Response times double in some regions, triple in others. People die because help arrives too late. Not many, but enough. Enough to matter. Week 1 ends with absolutely no explanation. Engineers examine detailed satellite telemetry from immediately before the failure. Nothing unusual, nothing that predicted this. The satellites are physically intact. Power systems remain functional. They're just not transmitting. It's as if someone flipped a master switch. But there is no switch, no single point of failure. Each satellite operates completely independently. The synchronization of the failure is impossible to explain with current technological understanding. Conspiracy theories explode across social media and traditional news. Alien intervention, secret weapons testing, solar flares, government cover-up. Without satellite communication to spread accurate information quickly, rumors spread through social media and traditional news outlets, each retelling more distorted than the last. In an information vacuum, belief trumps evidence. International cooperation attempts to solve the problem. NASA, European Space Agency, Roscosmos, Chinese National Space Administration. They're normally competitors, but they're all in the same crisis. Joint working groups form. Data is shared transparently. Nothing conclusive emerges. The satellites won't respond to commands. They can't be rebooted remotely. The only possible solution is physical repair, in orbit, for thousands of satellites. Month 1. Society has adapted to the new normal. Aviation operates on significantly reduced schedules using exclusively ground-based navigation. Financial markets use alternative timing systems, less precise but functional. Military operations continue with degraded capability. Weather forecasting is primitive but slowly improving. Life continues. 6 months in, humanity adjusts to satellite-free existence. It's inconvenient, expensive, limiting, but not apocalyptic. We survived millennia without satellites. 1 year later, the mystery remains completely unsolved. Satellites orbit silently, monuments to technology we no longer understand. What if all satellites stopped working? You'd discover modern civilization is built on invisible infrastructure. And every time you look up, you'd see them. Thousands of dead satellites. Reminders that technology can fail. And when it does, we're left with ourselves.